another special episode that we have unnumbered. We're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, just a little bit after the EA Play late event, much later than some of the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. It's the non-E3 E3 event extravaganza for Digital Days Gaming.
Yeah, so my name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How is it going, Dave?
It's going all right. It's going okay. So.
Yeah. I'm excited. Right. I'm happy with how everything's been going. I love doing these random recordings for all this stuff.
It's starting to feel like E3 just spread out over like 10 days.
Yeah, a lot less stressful.
Yeah. All right, so we are coming to you as another bonus episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the Destiny episode, the PS5 reveal episode, and episode 33 and 34, which we've all released in the last 7 days. So that is content that you guys can consume when you choose. But when you choose to do that, if you could please make a review, a written review is super helpful, whether it's on Podcast Addict or on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere that it lets you leave a review. If you could leave us a review that is written, that is a huge help. If you're unable to leave us a written review, any review on the Facebook page, sharing the show on social media, just getting more eyes on our content is a huge help, big time. So anything that you guys can do to help show that. Shares on Facebook, again, you don't even have to write anything, just share. If Michael includes a GIF when he posts it, you need to click on the show original post, otherwise you're just going to share a GIF.
Yeah, I hate Facebook.
And then retweeting on Twitter is a huge help. Likes are great in terms of, like, sometimes even when I'm scrolling through Twitter, we'll see other people that have, like, so and so is like this, but retweet just shows up in your timeline and it has additional eyes on the page. So retweets are super helpful, and likes are always helpful. So along with following, all of those things, like joining the Facebook group, following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitch, subscribing to us on YouTube, all those shows, all those social links are linked in all of the show notes for all of the episodes that we post. So anything that you guys can do to help with that is huge. So we're going to jump right into it with EA Play Live 2020.
Yeah, this was later than what we've been used to. It's 7 o'clock your time, 6 o'clock my time, when everything else has been kind of early afternoon. This one started off with Andrew Wilson talking about thanking all the first responders in the COVID world, and just how kind of just talks about how shitty 2020 has been in terms of, like, the wildfires in Australia, COVID, and then all the unrest currently right now. And he reiterated EA's policies and support for Black Lives Matter. So great to see that happen. Luckily, I wasn't watching chat during that time to see how that would have turned out. So yeah,
I just put it on my big screen and then I take notes.
Yeah, that's how I watched it. I'm so glad I did, instead of watching it on my computer, because I would not want to have seen chat. But yeah, it was just good to see that. Just go out there, talk about it, don't ignore it. And then we jumped right into games, which has got to be a hard transition always when you talk about real important life issues, and then you're like, time for some video games. But I think they did a decent enough job. I mean,
transitioning. They did the 8 minutes and 46 seconds, dedicating to the websites, and then he had the CEO had his own message of, like, the COVID stuff and the Black Lives Matter thing, and then it's like, okay, then he has to, like, okay, now we're here, like, now this is what we're here for. And I think he transitioned pretty well considering the circumstances.
Yeah. So. I was like anticipating the transition of just like, oh, I hope this is done classy, like, please don't go into a Battlefield game right after or something. But they transitioned into Apex Legends Season 5, which is starting June 23rd.
I think the event starts June 23rd. I think Season 5 is active now.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would make sense. It's so hard to keep up with seasons with all these different games. So it's just Lost Treasures collection event. There's going to be some new modes, some fan favorite modes coming right back in. One in particular is going to remove the respawn points, and they're going to add mobile respawn beacons to where you can respawn your teammates anywhere, anytime, as opposed to having.
I think it's a one and done unless you find it again.
It might be, yeah. But you at least have that playability of strategically using it. But the big chunk of what was important with this is Apex is coming to Steam and Switch this fall with crossplay. So this will be a big theme for everything we talk about of Steam and crossplay. Apex Legends is finally getting some crossplay.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be a huge theme of the entire show was the crossplay functionality, and it's a huge publisher again that's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So Activision kind of like broke the first fence, and then all the other ones are gonna, are following suit now as they were able to, and obviously they're convincing these companies to let it be a thing. And I just love the fact that it's breaking down the barriers of not worrying about where you're playing, and even on a free to play game, like you aren't able to carry your account over to the other platforms, I don't believe. So like this is a great way to move back and forth, and there's going to be advantages and disadvantages to doing this. Like, yeah, like, are you going to go against, maybe inferior competition? Like maybe, but now you get to play with your friend. Like you've always talked about with Call of Duty, like it just doesn't matter anymore. It's like, hey, you want to play Apex? Let's play Apex. You want to play Call of Duty? Let's play Call of Duty. You want to play Squads? Let's play Squads. Like it's just wherever you play, now you can play with somebody else. So
yeah, I'm so happy we're hitting this point of generation where we're just not worrying about platforms going into the next generation, because we've been kind of championing crossplay for a couple years now in terms of how important it is, and yeah, like you might not want to play with Switch people, or Switch people might not want to play with people on PC, but I'm sure they'll put the fail safes of like picking who you can play against, like we've seen in other crossplay games. So I'm just happy about this. This is something that people have been asking since day one. For Apex Legends. It's a shame it's taking a little bit longer than I would expect. We're going to have to wait till fall, but we're already almost at the end of June. So
I think it had a lot to do with Steam, because I mean, like, not necessarily with, they weren't waiting to be on Steam. I think they weren't waiting to be on Steam to do this, but because they're coming to Steam and Switch, they were waiting till then to do it. Just because you're going to have. And it'll be really interesting how this works, because it seems like almost everything that they announced and all of their games are going to be coming to Steam, but they're also, and EA Access is going to be on Steam, but they still have Origins.
Yes, Origins isn't going away.
Yeah, so there's technically two PC platforms that they probably had to make sure were playing nice, and then get the console platforms to play nice as well.
Yeah, so they are juggling a lot more platforms. So I was just excited to see Apex Legends getting crossplay. I kind of fell off Apex Legends around season 2. Not to the game's fault, just other things came out, and I've been wanting to jump in because they keep adding characters that are interesting to me as someone who likes like hero shooters. So definitely need to jump back into Apex, and crossplay is going to help, because a lot of my friends were on Apex were playing on PC and I was playing on PS4, so it kind of made it. That's when my Call of Duty group, my original Blackout Call of Duty group, jumped into Apex, and then we all went our separate ways as everyone went to their separate platforms. So this would be nice to get everyone back together for Apex. Okay, after Apex Legends, we got a really thoughtful, great trailer, or not trailer. It was just a diversity video package talking about how important it is to love yourself, and then how people used The Sims to build confidence. And I thought this was a really nice way of including The Sims. Sims just released a pack a couple weeks ago, so they didn't really have anything new to announce, but wanted to be included, and I thought this was a great video package.
Yeah, they definitely can't do an EA presentation without talking about one of their most successful IPs. And Sims is a hugely successful IP. So even if they don't have anything other to announce other than, again, it's coming to Steam. They didn't really talk about any kind of crossplay for this, though, did they?
No, but the multiplayer for The Sims really isn't what's important there.
Yeah, it's very vague.
So,
it's very minor. I don't think it's also used that much. I think most people are just kind of in their own world, making their own bubble.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of off doing their own thing. And then also on PC, if you're playing on PC, you're playing with mods, and you have your game modded like crazy. So trying to crossplay that with console would just be impractical. Right. So they apparently will have more things to announce for The Sims in the future. But Sims is one of those things where it kind of just lives on its own island and can just announce a pack and it will sell like crazy, and me and Dave will never hear about it because we're just not in that space for Sims content.
My daughter really enjoys the game. She goes on, she plays it, doesn't play it, plays it, doesn't play it. She falls on and off it all the time, and she just got a really nice graduation present, so she might be playing it more on her laptop. We'll see.
Yeah, Sarah plays it and does like all the mods and challenges and stuff like that. Usually it's just whenever they announce a new stuff pack or expansion pack, she'll play for like a couple weeks and then stop playing until the next pack comes out a couple months after. Okay, and then EA after that, they just talked about a bunch of EA games are coming to Steam. I think they said 7 are already on Steam or coming to Steam soon, along with EA Access coming this fall. I'm surprised they didn't push EA Access a lot, because like right now, I don't know if you guys know this, EA Access on PS4 and Xbox One is like 99 cents for a month, which could be worth look at their library. It's very limited library on console, but there's some stuff.
And you
to play
also
there.
save like 10% if you buy the game, and you get to play like the new releases like 10 days early or a week early, just for like, I think it's 7 days early or 3 days early for 10 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So if there's a game that you're on the fence about, like there's definitely like that's worth $1 a month or however much it's going to be. And then they didn't talk about it either, but I'd be interested, and I don't think Steam would let them do it, but the EA Premier subscription service that I used for a little while on Origins, I don't think is going to work with Steam. So that's, interesting. I was hoping that they would release some type of something that would integrate with Steam so that I wouldn't have to remember where I purchased it from,
Yeah, they did say EA Access is coming, so I'm wondering if that's like going to be the test bed for like bringing Premiere in shortly after that. I've actually been using GOG Galaxy, which sounds like the thing that you need, where you can just plug in your accounts into GOG Galaxy, your Epic, your Uplay, your GOG, and your Steam, and even your Game Pass stuff. You can plug that all into one launcher, and then it'll give you everything that you have, and then
I probably do need that then, because this is kind of annoying. So
I spent like 20 minutes yesterday just putting in all my accounts into GOG Galaxy, and you can even put your PSN, and it'll keep your PSN friend list on there as well. Which is like really helpful for like cross-play games. Yeah.
Another reason to join our Discord, because that'll probably be that huge way to communicate in these games.
Yes, for sure. So didn't mean to advertise GOG Galaxy, but look at it if you're into PC games. I ended up spending a long time configuring that yesterday, or not a long time, but I was just like trying to figure out what accounts I did have, because I was surprised how many accounts it connects to. Okay, they followed that with just a trailer for Command and Conquer Remaster.
Which I've heard of but never played, and it looked great, but it's just an RTS game. Like I'm not criticizing it. It's just not my thing. So
yeah, I was into them when they were originally out, and I was like the late 90s, early 2000s. This is a remaster of that. They actually went to great lengths to remaster this. And they actually released the source code for it a couple weeks ago, which is like a crazy thing that EA would never do, but they did. So they were just putting this in there just to remind people that it's available. And then they said they're happy to be working with the Switch. This was like the question a lot of people had coming into this, is like, are they finally going to put a bunch of stuff on Switch after years of EA saying, we don't see a reason to put stuff on a Switch, but I guess now the Switch has sold so much that
it obviously has enough hardware sales to support it, because they jumped in with them on the Wii U like heavy after the success of the Wii, and they got burned.
Yes. So they were hesitant going into the Switch console generation, and this is where they said they have 7 games coming to the Switch, including Burnout Paradise tomorrow, but Burnout Paradise is super fucking overpriced, so hopefully they get their pricing together, because like $40 or $50 for Burnout Paradise is crazy. Because I think right now on Steam, Burnout Paradise is like $5, and on PSN it's like $10. So it's like, get your shit together, EA, if you want to be on a Switch. Because I almost feel like they're putting themselves into like a guaranteed to fail situation if they keep overpricing their ports to the Switch.
But I just think they're like leaning on the people that maybe only have a Switch and don't have other platforms, and then they're like, oh, it's a new game,
Yeah. But I don't. The Steam or the Switch specifically has been like really aggressive with sale prices and stuff. So feel like if you see like an expensive EA game on Switch, you might go to the deal section on the eShop and see that there's like 100 or 200 games on sale. Sure, a lot of them are shovelware, but you might ignore an EA game.
Do you have any concerns though? Like we've seen Outer Worlds not run well. Like, how do you think Apex is going to run on a Switch?
Probably as good as Overwatch, which isn't great. Because Overwatch is on a Switch. I've been tempted to play Overwatch on the Switch just because I feel like I would probably be like top 500 on the Switch because of smaller fan base. It doesn't run great, but it's serviceable. Like, It's one of those things where I'm assuming Apex Legends is going to be just cool to have the gimmick of having Apex Legends portable.
Yeah.
And that would be enough for people. I'm curious to know how crossplay is going to work with that game. Like, how much of a disadvantage are Switch people going to be with that? But I guess Switch has been running on Fortnite since launch, so
yeah.
I haven't heard too many complaints about that. Okay, and then what happened after this? This was the EA Originals?
Yeah, so the Hazlight game, Joseph Fares announces it's called It Takes Two.
Not starring the Olsen twins?
Which looks like it's an interesting story. This is the same developer that did Brothers, A Tale Between the Brothers. Came out. It was a Plus game, a tale of, I can't remember the whole name, but it was just called Brothers. And then he did A Way Out, that cooperative jailbreak game, that both had very interesting story dynamics to them of like on how they controlled. And it seems like that's something that he really focuses on is the control and the gameplay mechanic connecting with the story. And the gist of the gist of what it was is there's a family that looks like they're getting divorced. The child makes characters like figurines two dolls out of her parents, and you play as those two, like working together. So then there's it sounds like there's literally a roller coaster ride and then the story is kind of a roller coaster ride of emotions as well.
Yeah,
it looked really cool.
They really hyped up the guy's character because the developer is like very outspoken. They showed I feel like half the trailer was just him I want to say trying to look cool, but it's like him just being like, here's this guy's new game, as opposed to looking at the game itself. But what we did see looked kind of cool.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was more focused on him than his company. And, obviously, he's the head of the company, but he's not making the whole game himself.
Yeah. He does love co-op games. It's going to be like the third game that I'm assuming will probably be co-op because there's a Tale of Two Brothers and A Way Out. Though I don't know if A Way Out was as successful as Tale of Two Brothers. There might have been some issues with that. But he makes interesting enough work, or his studio does, that this will probably be okay. And EA seems to be confident enough in him to continue to do like their indie game like stuff. I guess we can't call it indie game because it's with EA.
Right.
We just have to call it EA Originals. But this isn't going to come till 2021. And there wasn't too much that they showed of this game.
Not just one like level. It's like looks like it's gonna be like a side-scrolling platformer. So
yeah.
So and then Zoink Games announces Lost in Random.
I really like the way this looked.
It kind of gives me that like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of vibe to it.
Exactly. In my notes, I'm like,
Tim Burton,
looks inspired by Tim Burton and stop motion animation. They described it as like a coming of age tale like inspired by like gothic fairy tales. It's like a girl embarking on a dangerous journey, and she has a companion that's a die, like a single die.
Dark Kingdom, where every citizen's future is determined by a roll of a dice.
I want to see what that means for gameplay. Exactly what anything looks like. This also looks like a platformer, side scroller potentially. No, it was like 3D. Platformer. Yeah. I really love the art style for this, and this is probably the thing which might tell you how the EA event went that I was most excited about. Was this, which was another thing that we didn't see too much of it.
Right.
We just saw a little bit of gameplay, and I think it's also 2021.
It is, yeah, scheduled for 2021. Yep. And then they showed Rocket Arena, the 3v3 rocket third person shooter. I think it third person.
Yes, yeah, it was.
Yeah. So this is third person shooter that you only shoot rockets, which is in my mind. I'm like, do I really want to play a one hit kill game, which is what pretty much rockets are, is one KO.
And they made it especially of this, like, you get in and out of games super fast, or
yeah. But the art style and the it looked cool. The maps look very interesting. The classes look very interesting. I was just waiting, and I expected it, but I was just waiting to, because it's got a battle pass, or a blast pass is what they called it. I was just waiting for them to say it's free. Like, this has got this has got a free to play vibe written all over it, or at worst, I think it's going to be like a $20 game, $25 game, and it'll have the blast pass, which is their season pass kind of thing. It'll have seasons. 100 ranks, rewards to earn, lots of cosmetics. It seems like you'll be able to, to emote and dance. And so if this is priced correctly, I definitely think it could be a fun, like, pick up and play game. I think that they said this is crossplay as well.
Yes, this was crossplay at launch. It launches July 14th.
Yeah.
And then
so it's
July 28th.
Definitely something that I would, this July 28th, the first season kicks off. So it's definitely something, if it's priced right, like, I think could be great just as a community game to play,
Yeah, but you're totally right though. When I saw it, I immediately was like, this has got to be free to play. Like, this looks free to play in terms of just like how the characters look. I don't know. There's something about like character designs now that when I see a certain game, I'm like, that looks free to play. And that's not necessarily a shot at like the character design, but it's
it's nothing wrong with it. I mean, but you can definitely tell, like, there's not. I mean, it sounds bad saying this, but there's not tons and tons and tons of high end development into this, because it's built around making money after launch. And usually, if these games do success after launch and people are buying the season pass style things, and they're buying the cosmetics and participating in the events, then they're able to do other cool things, similar to what Apex has done with kind of changing the map, and same thing with Fortnite of doing the events and stuff. That's because people are buying into the season pass system and buying into the cosmetics that are in the game, and the company's making a lot of money off of it with probably not a lot, with minimal overhead, so that they can do cool things like this. And not to go backwards, but Apex, even from a far perspective like me that hasn't played it much, if at all, like, it's a battle royale that looks apparently to be telling a somewhat successful story lore-wise.
Yeah, and it's somehow vaguely attached to the Titanfall universe. Yeah,
so like, they're doing a really good job with being able to integrate those things, and I would think that, with that background of their EA Studios doing that would do only help Rocket Arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they mention hundreds of levels of progression with cosmetics and stuff, and they showed off some of the different cosmetic looks. So yeah, this looks like it would be perfect for free to play models. If it doesn't launch free to play, I'm hoping the entry point is really low for this to have a chance to take off, because something like this could catch on, like a 3v3.
Could be another summer Rocket League style game.
Exactly.
With another rocket in it.
Yeah, just make that a thing. And then we got into, I guess it was the meatiest part of the whole presentation, despite there not being a ton here, and that was Star Wars Squadrons.
So they showed the trailer that we saw earlier in the week already, which you can like, and you had mentioned this on on 34 when we talked about it, episode 34, of if you were going to spend this much, and now I'm combining your thought a little bit, but if you were going to spend this much time on EA Play showing this, why did you even bother to show it Monday? Because it leaked.
I was baffled when he said, like, when Greg Miller popped in, was just like, and here's a trailer that was released Monday, or in different words, obviously. But when he said that, I was just like, really? It's not an extended trailer or anything like that? And they just showed it again. And then and it's weird because, like, the game leaked like last week, but all that leaked was like the store page. So they didn't have to push the trailer early. The trailer didn't leak.
Yeah, so I mean, the trailer looked cool. The interview that he did talking about like how much of a fan Motive, the company, the head of Motive, is of the Star Wars universe, and wanting to do like a dogfighting flight game. It's like, that was great. Like, Greg Miller always does a great job with those kind of things, interviewing people and hosting events. This was, just par for the course for him. And then they showed an extended amount of gameplay and the class system of, everybody creates 2 characters. You're playing for bad guys and you're playing for the good guys, and you'll have different. I was actually surprised at some of the depth of the classes, because you're going to fly different ships based on what you select, and so it's got a little bit of that, like you had mentioned, that Overwatch vibe to it, of like you don't want to go in there with like 5 damage ships, because you're going to have you'll have a problem if you don't have any support ships and fast moving ones to to maybe flank, and tank style ships. So that is interesting. When we first had talked about this on episode 34 as well, I didn't even think about the competitive esport aspect of this.
Oh yeah, this if done right, this could be very, very successful for EA, and it's got like a lower price point entry.
My oldest son was watching it with me, and he's like, that's probably something that I would pick up, play the campaign, and I would try to play the multiplayer, and if it stuck, I might check it out. And if it didn't stick, I wouldn't be disappointed. And that's a 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid. He said that's kind of how it was with Battlefront for him, that he played Battlefront 2. He played the campaign, he enjoyed it. He tried to get into the multiplayer, it wasn't his thing, and he moved on,
Now, when they were talking about the single-player campaign, they kind of made it sound like you have to play the single-player campaign before you play the multiplayer? Or was that just me reading too much into it?
I don't know. I didn't feel that or get that, but a lot of times with those style of games, the single player campaign is just teaching you how to play the multiplayer. It's a long tutorial.
Yeah, just the way they kept reiterating, like, we're going to start you with the single player campaign to get used to the controls. It just seemed like maybe they were hinting that you have to play the single player.
There have been some games that you have to get to a certain point to unlock the the multiplayer aspect of it, so that not everybody just goes in there and gets frustrated right away, I guess.
Yeah, which is a good way of like gatekeeping that frustration, because you mentioned in episode 34 as well. Look at that, I was referencing that. Like how you would get frustrated.
Getting your ass kicked in the game after 2 weeks
exactly.
Not playing it. Yeah.
So like forcing you to do like the single player campaign, which makes me wonder the single player campaign might be on the short side. Especially because the whole game is
for a $40 price tag. I can almost tell you it's probably like, I'd be shocked if it's over 5 hours.
And the whole game is playable in VR. It's not, and they said the whole game like twice, so that means single player and multiplayer, which sounds crazy to me. Like that sounds great. And it's going to be crossplay. So even VR people, they're not going to be sectioned off into their own thing. They're going to be in the battle with everyone else.
Do you think that this game is going to support flight sticks on PC?
If it doesn't support it, people will mod it. It's coming to Steam, so will mod some flight sticks, and or even flight stick awesome.
On console.
Yeah, I always wondered about how like generic the flight stick drivers are in terms of like, could you play any game with the drive stick? Just like people have beaten games with the Rock Band drums,
right?
that aren't meant for that. So I wonder how easy it would be to get into the fight stick or a flight stick.
Yeah.
But the whole thing being in VR playable with multiplayer is great. I love that. And then they showed the different classes in the video, like the second trailer, and then this was
definitely their gem though. Like this was the focal point of the show, and it's I think we'll get to it like our final thought piece on it, but it's a little concerning that they don't really have any other thing major right now coming to the holidays.
Yeah,
they don't have any big hitter coming in November.
This is it, and they still didn't mention PS5 or Xbox Series
They did
X.
For the next game.
So. The next game, yeah, but they didn't mention anything with this. But there's backwards compatibility, so they don't have to. Okay, explain what we saw for the EA Sports stuff.
We saw nothing.
Sorry, a FaceTime video.
Yeah, so that's Lamar Jackson. He's the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. He's the cover athlete. Again, like they released this. They released this a couple days ago too. The cover athlete photo, and this had the free upgrade. Like so, EA's with if you buy Madden on PS4, you get it on PS5. If you buy it on Xbox One, you get it on Series X. So that'll all be there. And then they showed a montage that I was like, okay, they're showing a little bit of a Madden trailer, and then all of a sudden FIFA was in there, and I was like, what is going on here? And then Madden, then FIFA, then Madden, then FIFA, but none of it was gameplay. It was just and I feel like it favored making FIFA look cooler than Madden.
like in terms of like I guess the crowds are more entertaining in like soccer than they are in football. Sorry for people in Europe. Football is than football. And I don't know, what was this? Like this is like nothing. This is kind of,
So this is the second time now they did it at the Xbox third party event, and they did it at this EA Play thing where they're like, "Hey, here's Madden and FIFA's a thing, and it'll be here this fall." That's it.
yeah. I guess they're just hedging their bets in terms of Madden and FIFA on the next gen. This is a transition year, so it's not going to look great, which means next year is when they're going to have like some really cool realistic sports stuff, because there probably is like no difference between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One version of the game, or the PS4 and the PS5 version of the game. There's probably nothing different other than loading times and higher resolution.
Right.
So they just couldn't show anything, but it was still disappointing. At least give us the sweaty trailer that we got from 2K at the PlayStation event. Just something that's like a little glimpse of what like next gen could look like. Would have been really, really cool. But they didn't.
Yeah. They kind of showed the loading screen for a game during this event though. Like they showed 2 loading screens, didn't they? Or am I thinking about something else? Like where they showed like the next gen loading screen and then the one below
that was
it?
the next thing. So they went into basically like they had someone come out, and I think she was from
we got
EA
more
Sports.
stuff, but it's not ready.
Yeah, and this was what kind of like got me and Sarah upset, because like we were hoping for some Bioware stuff, and all we got was like a quick screen.
Bioware's still alive. We didn't kill him.
So we got like the EA Sport. I think she was from EA Sports. I'm not positive about that, but she basically was like, "Hey, all of our studios at EA are working on stuff. Criterion is working on a game, which we know is the Need for Speed game, because last week in a PR press release they said EA or Criterion is working on the next Need for Speed game, and that one was basically Criterion is working on a game. Look how fast loading screens are." Then
Yeah.
Bioware was shown, and it looked like they were making some Dragon Age levels. So they're like, hey, they make art. And then we got DICE. They're working on scale with the next Battlefield game. And then Motive is working on putting creativity into players' hands. So they hit their big studios and like, hey, they are working on something, but we have nothing to show for you.
Yeah, because Battlefield is taking this year off. We learned that a couple months ago that they're not going to have, and that's also why we thought maybe we'd see like a Battlefield 3 remaster,
or the Medal of Honor VR game.
Or a Bad Company
Respawn?
remaster. There's been a lot of rumors around that. Obviously, there's still rumors flying around even after this. When I was looking on social media about a Mass Effect remaster, the trilogy remaster. So I mean, if they were able to, I feel like if they had those things like ready and locked in, like I think that they would have announced them, but I mean, they might still be on the fence of like, are these gonna, with the pandemic going on, like maybe they don't know if these things are going to be ready by October or November, and maybe they'll find out in the next couple of weeks if it's going to happen. Totally off the subject, but I mean, we found out today that Cyberpunk got delayed 2 more months, like, and that was kind of out of the blue because they, 3 months ago they came out and said we're on track. So
yeah, but we're on track, but we have to delay it. And then this came out, they have to delay it again. Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to see publishers just kind of take this year off and wait for the economy and like the new normal to happen.
Well, again, I feel like this sizzle reel thing, the Dragon Age, the Battlefield, the Need for Speed, the Motive Next Gen project, like it. Okay, so first of all, Motive Project Next Gen. Okay, so that means that EA, okay, we all know EA likes money. Like that's not a hidden fact. But if it's a next gen only game, like I mentioned before, are they going to just let Sony like have a free 6, 8, 9, 10 months? Or are these studios going to wait until Xbox, to your point, previously either lightens up on the 18-month or, whatever the month is that the Xbox or Series X only games? Or are they just going to hold tight to that 18 months or however long it is, and the studios are just going to wait?
They might have to wait just to see how much Xbox cares for that, or I still don't think Microsoft's going to hold that 18 to 2 year exclusive, or that, like has to work on everything rule set, just because it's just going to hurt like new stuff happening. But I do think the publishers are just going to take this year off in terms of like, we don't know what Black Friday is going to look like, and that's the biggest like sale day of the year. We don't know how any of that's going to work, and we're all prepping for like a second wave of coronavirus. So I totally see the publishers just being like, you know what? Let's save our Bioware game. Let's save our Need for Speed game. Let's just save that for next year because we don't know what the world's going to be.
I still think that this uncertain level with the Series X is affecting this.
It has to. From
third parties. Like if they're like, do we really want to do that? Do we want to jeopardize their sales in the first 6 months? When a lot of times, like you'll see something at the end of the month of like, oh, so and so's game, this game is doing really well. It topped April's NPD. Like, does that company want that possibly hampered by only being able to release on 2 platforms, on PC and PS5 versus PC Series X and PS5? And then do they want to, or is it better to wait? Like that's fascinating to me, is that it might be better for a studio to say, hey, we're done, but we're going to wait the 6 months because we want to release it on all 3 platforms at the same time. Yeah,
we want to release it on all 3 platforms, and then the player base will be slightly larger than it would be at launch.
And especially with crossplay. Like, like let's advertise a feature in the game, like whatever this, next Battlefield game is going to be, like, are you going to release that? And because whatever this next Battlefield game is ain't going to run on current gen. It's not. No chance. So does that mean that we don't see that next Battlefield game until holiday spring 2022? Like, that's a long time for Battlefield to take off. But at the same time, it's like, oh, here's a really cool EA feature. All of our platforms support crossplay. But wait, your game's not even on Xbox. Oh, it will be.
It will be. We'll add crossplay when that happens. That's why I feel like we might see some pressure on Microsoft eventually of just like, hey,
well, I can sure tell you it's going to affect box sales, hardware sales.
It most likely will. But yeah, this was like the biggest disappointment of me, of this, like, they teased like the studios that I care about, Criterion, Bioware, and Dice. They just barely gave us a hint at what they're doing. Because I really want a new Dragon Age game or the Mass Effect trilogy stuff, because I've never played the Mass Effect games, and I hear the first game's really hard to get into now. And then, okay, this final announcement of the show.
But wait, one more thing.
But not really. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. So, they did it. So Skate exists. They're making a new Skate. It's way off. They did not have a logo. They did not have gameplay. They did not have concept art. They had nothing. They just had 2 developers saying,
"Oh crap! Activision and doing Tony Hawk stuff. Okay, go call the Skate guys." That's what happened.
No, and EA got tired of all of their Instagram and Twitter posts being bombarded by Skate 4 hashtags and replies. So the Skate community is getting their wish. They're getting a new Skate game. I'm excited as hell for that. But they had nothing to show for it.
They spoke it into existence. That's essentially all they did.
Yes, and that is a really lame way to end a press conference. Like, give me something that at the end of it I'm like, like, give me Horizon Zero Dawn, the PlayStation did, or like, end it with something huge. What do they
have? Like, what, you're gonna tease Fallen Order 2? Like, what do they have?
They could have. I'm sure they could have put together. There's been like one trailer for Dragon Age 2 years ago. You're telling me in the 2 years since the first teaser?
Like, they can't win with that stuff, man. With all the reports of surrounding Anthem and stuff like that. Anything, if they released anything from BioWare, that crap would have been sliced and picked apart.
But it would have at least like got people excited. Like, yeah, they might have been chewed up by people being like, "Where's Anthem?" But there's not many people that want to know about Anthem. So it's just, I don't know. Give any one of the things where BioWare, Dice, or Criterion showed something, they couldn't have put like a 10-second like, this is the future. Instead, we just got like, Skate, it exists or it will exist, and then it ended. And I was just like baffled with, I'm excited. I am happy Skate's coming. There's like 5 skateboarding games coming out this year. That's just crazy.
Well, Skate ain't coming this year, buddy.
Yeah, but there's like Session.
Skate ain't coming until spring 2022 either.
Yeah, but there's Tony Hawk, there's Session, there's Skater XL, there's a Skate Story, all coming this year. And then Skate is coming in the future, but there's nothing to show for it. So I'm excited for Skate, but it's just like, I needed something. Give me a logo. Yeah. Let me know, is it Skate 3 remastered or is it Skate 4? Is it a reboot of Skate?
They said
is it the Skate?
New Skate game, right?
But that could mean anything. But, it could just be a reboot, It could just, are they just, is it just a reboot of Skate? Is it Skate 4?
So, for me, the major highlights, I guess, if I really look back at it, the highlights that I saw, the first thing that I think is great is it sounds like almost all of their games are going to support crossplay in some form of shape or form. And then I already lost the name, but the indie games, It Takes Two and Rocket Arena both look great. Like those are the things that I think.
Sorry, continue. I was going to ask, is It Takes Two with Steve Guttenberg and Kirstie Alley, where they both have an Olsen twin and don't know they have an Olsen twin?
Why were you asking me that question?
I don't know, because someone's got to know. I'm sorry. I'll look it up. You're not much older than me.
So It Takes Two, the Rocket Arena game, and the crossplay stuff was all like super cool to me, because like if I want to get Rocket on Rocket Arena on PC, I can still play with the DDG community. If I want to get it on PS4, I can still play with PC players. So like that's really cool. I just with it coming so soon, with it coming in the next month, like I would be just really curious on the price of it, which I can I haven't dug in. We're recording like 30 minutes after the show ended, so and not a huge amount of time to dig into it, and not even enough time for some developer to come out and say, whoa, wait, my game's a little different than what they showed.
Yeah.
But what did you think? Like, other than this, it sounds like you're pretty hyped about the Skate announcement.
Yeah. So It Takes Two is like the Olsen twins Parent Trap, or not Parent Trap. Okay. Oh yeah, Parent Trap. Yes, where there's like the two twins are separated at birth or something. Okay, sorry. That's where my brain went when they announced that name. The thing I was excited about was Lost in Random. That looked like the most intriguing and interesting thing for my taste personally that I saw at this. And then just the crossplay stuff being big, that made me happy. I want to be excited for Skate, but they really just didn't do enough to get me excited. And without anything being shown, I don't think it exists until I see something, because they could just easily... It wouldn't be the first time we had a publisher say hey, we're developing this game, and then nothing happens for years.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, just to make sure that people understand, Michael and I are not humongous Star Wars fans. We respect the franchise, but we're not super into the... people were already, I was a little bit that I looked on Twitter, people were already talking about like planets and cities that you could see in the gameplay and stuff like that. And I'm like, I couldn't even name anything. I don't even think I could name the type of plane, other than a X-Wing. That's probably the only one I could name. So that game for me looks really cool, and that might be a wait and see approach. If there's enough people that I know that have it and they're saying that it's fun, and if I guess at least 3 or 4 people I know have it, it might be something I check out, because I don't think I want to solo queue into that multiplayer.
That's when you just do EA Premiere on PC, and then you can play with everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great point. If it supports that, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I was saying, I'm my sci-fi fandom is Firefly, not Star Wars. So I picked the losing battle. I picked the losing side, because I'm not going to get my Firefly game. I like Star Wars. I just don't get super excited by it. The lore's too deep for me to get into.
Too many different directions.
Yeah. But that was EA.
Yeah, so that was EA Play for 2020. Again, I think Greg Miller did a great job considering what was going on, all this stuff. And that little code letter game that they were giving away was pretty basic. I figured out what the word was going to be after the first 2 letters.
It's literally EA Play Live.
Okay. So, and that site was down, of course.
Yeah.
The site was barely working. So you can go to that site. It's player.gg/EA and type in EA Play Live and pick I think you can pick one game. I couldn't really get it to work right now. So It'll be a Steam game though, so it's I think it's in collaboration with them moving to Steam. That seemed like it would be a really big deal, which is fascinating to me. Of like you had or EA Origin, which is doing fine. Like and I guess maybe Steam is just more eyes. Like we keep asking for more eyes in DDG. Like you're in the Steam store, you're searching, you're gonna see an EA game. I guess that's more likely that for you to see that than to open up Origins or remember it's on Origins. I don't see the win here, I guess, but that's
they're just spreading out as much as they can. I mean, we're at the point where we talk about this with crossplay. There's no reason not to support it. Like they want to sell games on PC. Yeah,
but in that case, wouldn't you go to Epic and get more money? From what we understand,
who knows if Steam made an offer? But also, Steam's offer for big publishers is really good. Like it might. So Epic has just like a flat rate for everybody, and Steam has if you're a bigger publisher, your cut's bigger. So Steam's cut might be better for them because they're EA and their games are going to sell.
And then
crazy.
Obviously, like since we saw all the cross stuff, like obviously Steam is a lot. I think maybe the holding point was that Steam wasn't going to allow your player base to bleed into Origins, and now they are. Mm-hmm. So, and then also with that, it lets them bleed into the other stuff too, into Switch, into the PS4 and the PlayStation 5, and the Madden game and the FIFA game had the PS5 and Series X logos on them. So that was really the only thing that I saw that had the next gen logos on it. Did you see anything else that said PS5 or Series X?
No, everything else was pretty vague. I'm still surprised Squadrons didn't mention anything about that. Yeah.
All right, so that was EA Play. Again, shorter show, but I mean, we just want to, after each event, like we plan on doing something after the Xbox first party reveal, the Ubisoft reveal in about a month. Anything else that comes up, Michael's going to do. What did you say? Sega's part of what next week?
The new Expo, which is going to be like Atlas, Sega, NAS America, just a bunch of like Japanese publishers. They're putting on an event, so me and Chris from Active Quest are going to try and record something next week if the event is worthwhile, because it's a weird event. I think it's like 7 hours and there's going to be a bunch of different things happening during that, so I don't know exactly what we're looking at. It could just be like 5 hours of them playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep. So this is going to hit the feed again as another bonus episode. It'll so please let us know. Leave us feedback if you're liking these. We got a little bit of feedback in Discord and Facebook. I did the math the other day, and like with this included, now we're going to be up to like almost 8 hours of content in like an 8-day period, a 9-day period. So it's definitely a little bit of E3, and I know a lot of you guys really like that. But I know a lot of you are still kind of, working from home and not commuting, so maybe you're not consuming it as fast. So just even if you're listening to this a week later, like just drop us a line on Twitter, send us a message, say something in Discord, say something in the Facebook group, give us the feedback on this. Again, leave reviews, please. Just more eyes. And the PS5 episode's doing really well. The Destiny A Look Back episode is doing tremendously well. Again, thank you to Chandler for taking the time and for writing a post on his website. Like that was a huge help for us. Mm-hmm. And then our regular, the numbered episodes are going to continue. Those are going to release on Thursdays, and these bonus episodes are going to release as fast as we can release them, or as fast as our schedules allow us to get them out. Branham in Discord mentioned it that Angela, my wife, is the hardest worker on here, and she's edited all this content. She's getting really good at it. So
yeah.
But I hope everyone has a great weekend, rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys. Probably next time you hear from us will be 35, and then there might be something else after that. So, anything else, bud?
No, that's it. Just we'll guess we'll see you guys on Twitch on Monday.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
See ya.